That's right, it's time for everybody's favorite topic, a Bud Light video. It's been a while since we've talked about Bud Light, and I've purposely ignored some of the more minor headlines because, quite frankly, not only are people kind of just burnt out on it, which makes sense, but people have also said their bits, right? They're just, if you either drank it and then you moved on, or you never drank it in the first place. Everyone's kind of moved on from the Bud Light storyline. But what's interesting is the CEO issued yet another statement, and it's not going to be one that you like. It's not going to be one that is going to feel good. And I think that it's going to be one that is going to cost Bud Light even more. And it's wild to me. So let's get into it. By the way, this video is sponsored by quarteringgold.com or Gold Co. The economy is definitely not going back to the way it was before. Remember how quickly it all went bad? First there was inflation, then another housing market bubble, banks started crashing, look at the cost of gas, groceries, things of that nature. The Fed's laying groundwork for digital currency. Basically, your money's getting attacked at every angle. So at this point, you can either bury your head in the sand and pretend everything will get better, or you can take advantage of this opportunity to protect your wealth while you still can. So write this down because you're not going to get you'll not only get a chance to protect your retirement savings now, you could get up to $10,000 in free silver from Sean Hannity's partner Gold Co. You heard that right. $10,000 in free silver from Gold Co. when you visit quarteringgold.com. Links also in the description. Also, by the way, they're giving you up to $10,000 in free silver while supplies last. Plus, all certified callers this week will receive a free Ronald Reagan silver coin. That's quarteringgold.com. Link in the description. Anheuser-Busch CEO speaks out on Bud Light with no apology. Is anyone surprised by that? They've come out and said here, Anheuser-Busch CEO speaks out with no apology from thestreet.com. The beer maker has seen a massive drop in sales for what was once the top-selling brand in the United States, but its CEO has an interesting take on the situation. This is a brand new story. By the way, this, in the same vein as we look at that Bud Light stock, It briefly came back. It was at its lowest, at 55.05, and it came all the way back to 57, almost $58. But now it's dropped all that value. Look at the last 5 days, back down 6 months. They really came. People felt like, oh my gosh, they came back because they're at $57, $58. Now the original drop was from 66, but it's going right back down. It's headed actually back towards a new low. Here's $56.18. The low was at $53.40, so it's close. It's headed back to that again. But like collecting dust at stores ahead of football season. College football is finally back. So is beer drinking season. I don't know. I live in Wisconsin. That's all year around. So grab a free 30 rack of Bud Light and head to the back deck. Stat. Just kidding about the Bud Light, not the beer drinking season. The numbers are starting to pour in from grocery stores and gas stations across the US of A, and they're not pretty. The latest Nielsen Q data provided to Fox Business by Bump Williams Consulting shows Bud Light sales in off-premise locations such as grocery stores and gas stations are down 15.9% on a dollar basis and down 20% on a volume basis year to date as of August 19th. Modelo, which overtook Bud Light as a top-selling brew in America earlier this month, was up 10.3% in sales and 9.6% in volume. The slides continue as Modelo continues to pad its lead across all off-premise outlets combined. Feels like Modelo is sort of the Atlanta Braves of beer right now, just so much better than everyone else that they're just running up the score on the rest of the league. What they are 17 games. Oh, what they're up to 17 games in the NL East. Yeah, I don't really care. That's Modelo and Bud Light as we enter football season. One if flying off the shelves at your local Publix, while the other is collecting dust like Clay Travis's new book at the White House. If you think maybe we're just up and heading into the bars and drinking it instead, buckle up. Total beer sales in the U.S. were up 2.2% in dollar sales for the same week, with Miller Lite, Coors Light, and Yuengling all seeing double-digit increases. Bud Light, meanwhile, plunged 27% on a dollar basis. Budweiser came in a close second at over 10%. Woof. I mean, nobody, and I said this. I said that the boycott was going to be worse once football started because people, go to the game and you get this cumulative kind of effort or effect that, where, Joe's not drinking it, so you don't drink it. You see a line for one type of beer, it's not that popular, or you see empty lines of Bud. You're going to see pictures of empty Bud Light lines. You see this article, the conservative boycott playbook is kind of working. And this is from Vox, a leftist outlet. From Bud Light to Target, right-wing anger at woke capitalism is scaring corporate America. They're admitting defeat. The general rule of consumer boycotts is that they rarely work, at least in terms of taking a real bite out of the company's bottom line. Take some recent examples. Plenty of coffee drinkers still love their Keurigs, despite a handful of people smashing their already purchased machines in 2017 and 2018. Nike got a sales boost after angering conservatives doing an ad campaign with loser Colin Kaepernick. In 2020, calls for among progressives to boycott Goya products semi-backfired. The hullabaloo has actually resulted in a brief bump in the food company's sales. This year, however, the boycott outlook in the United States has been a little different. Conservative consumers have officially begun to do some damage. Bud Light's decision to embark on a small-scale marketing campaign with trans influencer Dylan Mulvaney, brand destroyer, sparked vast outrage on the right wing, sparring this spring. It lost the company millions of dollars in sales and ultimately contributed to Bud Light's dethroning as the most popular in the country. Then, over the summer, conservatives took aim at Target and its annual Pride collection. Many called for a boycott of the retailer, and some consumers took to going into Target stores to destroy displays. I don't care about that. Harass employees. That you shouldn't do. Target's earnings were down for the second quarter. While the Pride backlash wasn't the only main issue in play, in an earnings call, a company executive literally cited the strong reaction to this year's Pride assortment as headwinds during the period. Target now says it's going to pause, adapt, and learn so that future approach to Pride balances celebration, inclusivity, and broad-based appeal. Neither brand is in dire straits, but they probably would rather not be in this position. Conservatives aren't winning every battle with corporate America. I'm signing up for a service called Woke Alerts that supposedly tells me every so-called woke company I'm supposed to boycott, and it feels a little bit of all of them. However, it does appear that they're onto something on some fronts. They're managing to hit a few companies where it hurts, at least somewhat. I mean, $30 billion in market cap's not nothing, on their balance sheets, and are getting them to change their behavior. This energy on the right is having a chilling effect across corporate America. Activists have a figurative weapon they want to keep hurting, or they want to keep hunting, and CEOs knows it. There's no concrete unified theory of why the recent string of right-wing outrage is hitting companies differently, but as of late, well, it's because the economy sucks. I mean, there was a time when just everything was so good, everything was selling, everything was, going bananas, and they could sustain this. But now things are getting tight. People are paying $4 a gallon, $5 a gallon for gasoline. They're paying 50% more for their groceries in some cases. Bud Light seems like the most maximally substitutable beverage on earth, says Jerry Davis, a professor of management at a University of Michigan Ross's School of Business, though he did express surprise at what happened. The Bud Light event really did take down the sales of America's most popular beer, and I really can't think of anything comparable in the past. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Much of this has been put in overdrive by social media, allowing people to coordinate in ways that they haven't been able to in the past. It's fueled by the conservative media complex. Oh, it's conservative media complex. And some misinformation. Thanks, Vox. There's also an element of bad behavior that's quite unique and disturbing. Target's stated reasoning for pulling back on its Pride collection has in part been to protect the safety of its employees. I believe that's actually made up. I think that some idiots went and put cameras in Target employees' faces, and I don't like that. But I don't think anybody actually, threatened them. They never released anything like that. The ripple effects of conservative consumer activism are real. If you're a CEO sitting in your office today contemplating about how you're going to approach political and cultural issues, the threat of conservative activists coming for you has to be in the back of your mind. As much as your employees, customers, and even perhaps personal politics may be pushing you to the left, There's risk that your firm could be next. Nobody wants to be the next Bud Light, Target, or even Disney, which has not seen a real hit to its business since criticizing, which hasn't seen a real hit to its business since criticizing Florida's Don't Say Gay law. No, it's a parental rights law, I believe. But would rather not be dealing with Ron DeSantis. The company already had to deal with Christian Southern Baptists. I mean, what are you talking about? Their movies are absolutely tanking. Their movies are completely tanking the box office. So then this moron CEO comes out. Anheuser-Busch has put itself in an impossible position where it can't make anyone happy. The beer maker alienated a portion of his audience when it decided to partner with Dylan Mulvaney. The choice was not helped by the brand's former marketing boss calling its customers fratty. Many Bud Light drinkers called for boycotts of the still popular but no longer top-selling beer in the United States after the deal. In that very small partnership, the beer brand sent social media influencers some cans. We already know about that. Kid Rock, as you likely know, didn't want to drink the beer that also supports that community. Then they called him fratty, which I think actually hurt them far more, right? Now, the company has also returned to its normal ads and promotions built around college and pro football. Dorcas Dukeris addressed Bud Light's issues during his company's second quarter earnings call. First, he did acknowledge a sales drop. Quote, the U.S., the beer industry remained resilient, delivering revenue growth of 2.3% this quarter, with beer gaining share of value total alcohol in the first half of 2023. Our revenues declined by 10.5%, sales to retailers, and volumes dropped by 14%, with performance impacting by decline of the Bud Light brand, he admitted. But the CEO did not seem all that worried about the long-term prospects of Bud Light. Quote, we have actively engaged with 17,000 consumers since April, and there are a few clear insights. Most consumers surveyed are favorable towards Bud Light. And approximately 80% are favorable or neutral. The consumer will always be at the center of everything we do. No, it won't be. It hasn't before. He did make it clear that the company's mistake was turning the conversation around Bud Light away from light topics into political controversial ones. Secondly, regardless of favorability, our consumers across all sentiment groups have 3 points of feedback in common. One, they want to enjoy their beer without debate. That's number one. They want Bud Light to focus on beer, and they want Bud Light to concentrate on the problems that all consumers love, platforms that they love, such as the NFL, Fields of Honor, music, and more. We were taking the feedback and working hard towards, it's interesting to me, though, our total beer industry shares declined by 520 BPS this quarter, 30 to 36.9%. It's been stable. So they keep saying, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. Well, CEO comes out and makes no apologies. Well, I guess we'll see how this all shakes out. Probably not that well. But it is interesting that people are so quick to finally admit defeat. Well, all I can say is keep it up out there. And if you're enjoying this video, click that follow button down below. Click that subscribe down below. It's extremely important to the channel, and I really greatly appreciate it.